Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritav Vande Bhagavantav Punah Punah. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Hari Om. The Atma reveals itself directly. It shines independently. And it also illumines the rest of the universe. The entire insentient world is illumined by this Atma Chaitanyam. Atma illumine the Anatma world. And we saw last class, Yasya Sannidhi Matrena Dehendriya Manodhiyah Vishayeshu Swakyeshu Vartante Prerita Iva. Sannidhi Matrena, just by its mere presence, Atma, the all-pervading Atma, just by its mere presence, in its presence, everything that is inert, including the organs like the body, sense organs, the mind and intellect, all of them, we know by themselves they are inert. It illumines them, it also enlivens them to act in their fields of activity, respective fields of activity. And then it was also said, Ahankaradi Dehanta Adayah Vedyante Gadavat Ena Nitya Bodha Swarupina. That by which both subjective ahankaradi dehanta, the subjective part, ahankaradi, starting with ego, and dehanta, all the way going up to the body, being, meaning Vijnanamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Annamaya kosha. All of them. It illumines that, energizes that. Not only that, Vishayascha, the external objects of the world, also it illumines. And then, Sukhadaya, experiences like joy, all these are known. All these are experience. And all that is in the presence of Atma. Okay. This idea is elaborated in the 10th chapter of Panchadashi. We will be studying that Nataka Deepa Prakarana. One whole chapter, Vidyaranya Swami devotes to this idea. We'll be studying that. Now we continue today with verse 131. Yeshontaratma Purushah Puranah. Yeshontaratma Purushah Puranah. Nirantarakhanda Sukhanubhuti. Nirantarakhanda Sukhanubhuti. Sadaikarupa Pratibodhamatrah. Sadaikarupa Pratibodhamatrah. Yene Shitavagasavascharanti. Yene Shitavagasavascharanti. Yeshontaratma Purushah Puranah. Nirantarakhanda Sukhanubhuti. Sadaikarupa Pratibodhamatrah. Yene Shitavagasavascharanti. Bhashyakara Shankaracharya sums up all the discussions that we had so far relating to Atma. These are all beautiful verses, the definition of Atma. So we get here the essence of the Upanishads. So he does three things here, three jobs he has done here. One, he defines the Atma. He defines it. And in so doing, the second point we need to note is he is using the words that are in the scriptures. While defining Atma, instead of coining his own words, he uses the scriptural word. And this is very important. Now, we have a lot of writers, philosophers also, they make up new words. And then we are scratching our head. What does this mean? Some great scholars, great Vedantins, but they have used new words. Then you begin to wonder. Shankaracharya doesn't do that. He uses the words that are there in the Shastras only. So there we have a clear understanding as to what they mean. So with this, he accomplishes two things. One, he indirectly shows that the teaching is based on the scriptures. It is not his opinion. It's not his opinion. What is said in the scriptures only, Bhagavan Shankaracharya is conveying to us. So this he says, I'm just giving you the essence of what is said in the Upanishads. That's one purpose. The second purpose is those people who have studied the Upanishads and the other scriptures, they can go and connect with these mantras very easily. For example, we hear the word Purana. Purana. Immediately, when you hear this word Purana, you can connect it to Bhagavad Gita, you can connect it to Kathopanishad. We are studying Bhagavad Gita also, so even all of you will immediately remember the famous verse, Na jayate mriyate va kadachit, nayam bhutva bhavitavana bhuyah, ajo nityah shashvatoyam puranah. That word is there. We have seen this. So immediately we can bring back all the thoughts related to that when we studied that verse. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire, the 20th verse in the second chapter. This is what, we've also talked about pratyabhijna, meaning making the listener to recollect the scriptural teaching. Very important. So all this we have to build upon each other. This will reinforce understanding here. So how to make the listener go back and review, to recollect the scriptural teaching? You use the same word itself. Don't come up with something new. So that's what he has used. Therefore, yeshaha antaratma, this intimate, ever-evident consciousness, antah atma, consciousness is called antaratma, the inner self. Here again, we should understand the word inner properly. Now, whenever we say inner, you should always ask the question, from which standpoint? What standpoint it is inner? If somebody asks you the question, are you inside or outside? So we have to ask a counter question, inside or outside, or what? What is the reference? If the person says the room, whatever room you are in, then your answer is inside. If it is something else, are you inside or outside your driveway or parking lot? So you're not on the parking lot, you're not on the driveway, you're away from that. So it's always with reference to what? So normally the word inside is used with reference to our body in these contexts, inside and outside. Therefore, whenever we say inner self, what do we conclude? Atma is inside the body. It's a common understanding or actually misunderstanding. There is Atma in all of us. So immediately inside you start looking. Is it like that? And immediately you will think that Atma is not outside. Antaratma, Atma inside. But you should not take the reference as the body. So whenever the Upanishad uses the word inner, antaha, we should understand it as the inner essence, the very essence of everything. Like that, we say water is the antaratma of all waves. Waves are there, and we say water is the very essence of all waves. Gold is the antaratma of all ornaments. So it is in that sense. So consciousness is antaratma, the inner self, not within your body. It is a very content, very essence of everything. So the inner self should be translated as the content, the essence. So Atma is the inner self, means not that Atma is in your body, Atma is in every body and in between bodies also. If you take it within the body, it becomes a finite entity. But Atma is infinite. But if you say it is the inner self as the content, then it's the content of everything. Therefore, it has no finite location. Antaratma is the inner self of all, of everything. So it is not limited, it is infinite. Antaratma. Then this Atma is called Purusha. I already mentioned about Purusha. No, Purana I mentioned. I didn't talk about Purusha. Let me talk about Purusha. The word Purusha is also a technical word, and we need to understand that properly. The common meaning of the word Purusha is a man, as opposed to a woman. But in Vedanta, the word Purusha it has a technical meaning. It is used for Atma, the consciousness. Especially in Vedanta, we need to have a very clear understanding of what this Purusha is, because this word Purusha is also used in other systems of philosophy. The Sankhya's use Purusha and Prakriti. There also Purusha refers to consciousness, but then there are, when juxtaposed along with Prakriti, it has a different hue to it. So we need to be careful. Here, Purusha in Vedanta, we need to understand it is derived from the words Puri. And Puri means a city. And then the other word it comes from is Shayanam. The body is called a city because, like a city, the body is filled with so many things. You may recall from Kathopanishad, Puram Ekadasha Dwaram. A city with 11 gates, Ekadasha Dwaram. Bhagavad Gita also, Navadvare Pure Dehi. There, the body is described as a city with 9 gates. How 9, 11, 10, 7, all that I've talked about before, depending upon how many holes in your body you count. Okay, so that's not important. The idea is, just like a city, in the old days, the capital city, a king, he lived in the city where the palace was, and it was always a fort was built, and the entire this thing was enclosed, and then entry into and outside was all regulated. And inside the capital where the king resides, there are a lot of things there. That is the idea. And so typically it may have 4 entrances on the 4 directions, etc. Huge forts will be there, and inside a huge city. So like that, this body is described as a city with 11 gates. And the resident, in the case of kingdom, in the capital city, the king is the main resident. The same way, this Purusha, the Atma. So, a Shayanam, I said Puri is a city, and then Shayanam, together it becomes Purusha. Shayanam means the indweller. So, Purusha means the indweller of the body, which is like a city. Here we are not talking about the body, a male body or a female body, nothing like that. We are talking about the consciousness which is there in a male body, female body, in an animal body, in everything. And here again, you must remember the Kathopanishad mantras. Indriyebhyah parahyartah artebhyascha param manah manasastu para buddhihi buddheratma mahan parah mahatah param avyaktam avyaktat purushah parah purushanna param kinchit kashtasa paragatihi. They're all this inner. And the ultimate is the Purusha. So, Indriya, sense organs, sense objects, so on and so forth, each one going inside and inside. Atma is the innermost. So, in terms of subtlety, in terms of presence, in terms of something that is enlivening every other thing, which is the very essence of everything. We talked about all these ideas when we were discussing this mantra. So this Purusha, when you hear the word Purusha, these ideas should come to you. Purusha. Then Puranaha. When you say Puranaha, again, I had already mentioned the Gita verse, and the same are very similar, with only one or two words different. Actually, that Gita verse is taken from Kathopanishad. Jayate vipaschita. One or two words different, that's all. Otherwise, it's the same. There again, Puranaha. Puranaha means Pura api navaha. Puranaha. Pura means ancient. Though very ancient, Navaha, it's ever fresh. So Puranaha, that word is the etymology of that. It's ancient and ever fresh. When we say ancient, something that is there long, long time ago, but don't understand it that way. It didn't come yesterday or day before. It's been there anadikal, beginningless time. It's been there. And yet, it has not become old. Pura api navaha. Which means it is not affected by kala. It is not subject to the onslaught of time. It's ever fresh. You need to understand Purana as changeless. You have to understand it as changeless, timeless. Sentence is a little bit peculiar. When there was no time, then. When there was no time, how can you say when and then? When there was no time, at that time. Hey, there was no time. How can you say at that time? You see the limitations of words and language. That's all. The concept of time was not there because the feeling, the awareness of time comes only with thoughts. The definition of time in Vedanta is given as krama sambit, the awareness of some sequence, first, second, third, fourth, as a sequence. If you're not aware of some sequence like that, there will not be any awareness of time. This is what happens in our sleep. You would have slept for 8 hours, but you don't feel you slept for 8 hours. Only when you look at the clock, I went to bed at 10 o'clock, I got up at 6 o'clock, so I should have slept for 8 hours. But that's all. But during the course of that sleep, no concept of time. The interval between two events is called time. The 8 hour sleep is between when you went to bed and when you got up. The awareness of this interval between thoughts, that gives the concept of time. We have fixed some chronology, otherwise we will not have any concept of time. So in that time, the idea of second and minute are all superimposed by us. Otherwise, we do not have any idea of what day it is, what date it is. When we were doing the Vedanta course, 2 years course, we had class every day, and the 7 days of the week. Okay. Sometimes you begin to wonder, what day is today, Monday or Tuesday? What day? We have no concept. Because every day is like every other day. 5 o'clock, you go to the temple to do the Vedic chanting, come back, have a cup of tea. 7 o'clock is the Upanishad class. And then have breakfast, then the Sanskrit class, then Vishnu Sahasranama chanting at noon, then lunch, and then 4 o'clock. So every day is like that. So you have no idea. Sometimes it's the experience of every student there. So only time we figured out what day is what is on the menu for breakfast. So, on Sundays, I don't know, it doesn't make a difference to the students, but for the others, I suppose it made a difference. So that's the only way. Anyway, I'm digressing. And some speakers are also like that. When they start speaking, they are so much in love in hearing their own voice, they lose all concept of time. And they go on and on and on. So only when you are aware of the interval between events, thoughts, concepts of times come into play. When the first thought arose, there is no time. Then the second thought comes, and then the concept of time is possible. That's why the unit measure for time is second. It's not first. Anyway, even when the first thought had not risen, the entity must have been there, and that is awareness, consciousness. So consciousness illumines the first thought also. That is why consciousness is called Purana, ancient, eternal, timeless, changeless. Purana, the word Purana has all these connotations. Then Nirantara Akhanda Sukha Anubhutihi. Nirantara Akhanda Sukha Anubhutihi. Continuous, unbroken experience of joy, which is Ananda Swarupaha, Chaitanya Swarupaha. Sukha means happiness. Sukha means Ananda. Anubhuti means Chaitanya. Therefore, Sukha Anubhuti means it is of the nature of Ananda and it's of the nature of Chaitanya. Chit and Ananda. Once you say Atma is Ananda hai, then definitely we will commit a mistake. What is that? Because we know only one type of Ananda. which is experiential pleasure. So it is one of the biggest confusion in Vedanta Shastra, because the word Ananda is invariably mistaken as something that you experience. I'm happy, happy occasion. We fall into that trap. And sometimes we add the word Atmananda, and people think it is some mystical experience, mystical bliss. Something mystical is also experiential only. Once you translate Ananda as an experiential pleasure, either mystical or non-mystical, then it is subject to time. Any experience has a certain starting point and it lasts a certain time. So it's subject to time, it's subject to a state of experience. So whenever we talk about this mystical bliss, they will talk about samadhi or going into a trance, all that kind of thing. So if you say Atmananda is an experience, all these things will come into play. So Shankaracharya wants to make it very clear. Ananda here does not mean any experiential pleasure. Even though the word anubhuti is usually translated as experience. That is why he is using the word nirantara sukham. It is something that is not subject to time. Then does it mean permanent experiential pleasure? We still don't give out this experience pleasure. We want to stick on to that and add another adjective. Permanent experiential pleasure? No. Because anything experiential cannot be permanent. Any experiential pleasure has to be impermanent. It started at one time, so it will end. Therefore, permanent Ananda means it is not an experiential one, it's something else. What is that something else? When we talk about permanent Ananda, the word should be translated as Purnatvam. Purnatvam. We should not translate it as pleasure. We should not translate it as bliss. We should not use any experiential word, a word that indicates a temporary experience, pleasure, bliss, ecstasy, bliss, beatitude, all that. So many words you will come across, they are used. But you need to have a very clear understanding. All of them refer to different types of experience. But when we talk about Ananda here, it should be translated or should be understood as Purnatvam, fulfillment, completeness, which is permanent. Because that happens to be my very nature. That is why Satchit Ananda should be translated as, quite often it is translated as the very definition that we have seen in Taittiriya Upanishad, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That Ananda is translated there as Ananta, limitless. Therefore, Atma is of the nature of Purnatvam, completeness, full. Then comes the third line, Sada Ekarupaha. Ever, Sada, always, always. Ekarupaha, a one and the same nature. So Atma is ever of the same nature. It's not subject to change at all. It doesn't increase or decrease. No change. So we say nirvikaraha, changeless. So this is also important. Because generally in the scriptures, while we talk about Srishti, creation, the Upanishad says that Brahman was there, and that Brahman so kamayata bahusyam prajayeti sapatastaptva idam sarvam asrujata yaditam kincha tat srishtva tadevanupravishat. All that. So if you literally translate this, it will mean Brahman alone was there and it felt very lonely, bored perhaps. Therefore, it wanted many people around. What did it do? It thought, let me become many. We have all these ideas. Because when we are alone, we are bored. We want some company. So we superimpose our ideas onto that Brahman also. How does one become many? One can become many by dividing itself. If a lump of gold is there, how can we make it many lumps? You just divide it into many lumps. Once it gets divided, many lumps are there. Then Advaitam has become Dvaitam. So another common misunderstanding that Brahman was Advaitam before, and now it has become Dvaitam. So that Brahman you are, that Brahman was Advaitam, but it is now become many. And so what you have to do is do some sadhana, keep on doing sadhana, then that Dvaitam will become Advaitam. All these ideas, notions are there. Bhakti literature, they talk about all this. We have come away from Bhagwan. We were there with Bhagwan. And then we fell down from there. Now we have to go back. We have to go back and merge with Bhagwan. All these ideas are there. They are figurative way of saying, okay? You cannot take them literally. So if you take them literally, it'll all be misconception. And Shankaracharya wants to negate all such misconceptions. Advaitam has never become Dvaitam. There was Advaitam, there is Advaitam, and there will ever be Advaitam. And that's what he implies by saying Sada Ekarupaha. Always a one nature. If Brahman was ever Advaitam, then how do you account for all the duality that we experience, the multiplicity of the world? How do you account for the Shruti statement? Brahman thought that it will divide itself. For that we answer, whenever we say Brahman divided to become creation, you have to interpret as Brahman thought as though. These words, as if, as though, is very important. Brahman is Advaitam all time. Dvaitam is only a seeming appearance. Seemingly it appears. Dvaitam seemingly exists. And Dvaitam is seemingly resolved. Just as the dream duality comes, the dream duality exists. And even when there was duality in the dream, you are the waker, the one and only, lying in your bed comfortably. So the dream example is the best example to drive home this point. Similarly, the Chaitanyam can never get divided. Sada Ekarupaha. Always a one nature. This one idea alone is very elaborately discussed. And we have studied this. The third chapter of Mandukya Karika. Advaita Prakarana. So that one expression, Sada Ekarupaha, elaborately discussed. 48 verses Gaudapadacharya devoted to explaining this. So these are very significant words. Then pratibodha matra. The word pratibodha matra. It has two meanings. The first meaning is matraha means recognized, evident, recognizable. So this Atma is recognized or recognizable. Atma is evident. Pratibodham in every experience and in every thought. In every experience, the external world as Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, and also internally as Sukha, Dukkha. In all these experience, be it internal or external, it is recognized. So herein, Bhashyakara keeps in mind the well-known Kenopanishad mantra, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. If I have to experience any one of you here, okay, assume, we are all meeting in person, okay, even otherwise, if I have to see and recognize someone, a particular person, then I have to look in that direction, see that person. I have the screen, the gallery view, and if I have to see someone that is in the northeast corner of the screen, I have to look in that direction. And if somebody is there in this southwest corner in my screen, Virenji and Rekha are here, and then our Deepakji, Jyoti is missing today. So, but I have to look up. Then only, otherwise I can't. All right. But if I have to recognize that light that is illumining all these pictures, do I have to look any particular direction? If I have to experience any one of you, I have to focus my attention on you. Special effort is required. To look in that direction, I have to turn my face, my eyes have to be open, my eyes must be in good condition. All these things are required. If I'm focusing on you, I'm not able to see some other person. But on the other hand, if I have to experience the light that is there, which person or object should I focus? I did not focus on any particular person or object. Whatever I am seeing, along with that person or that object, I am experiencing the light. When I am reading a book, I'm experiencing the light. What's the proof? The very fact that I am able to read the book is because of light. If it was dark, no light was there, I wouldn't be reading. So the experience of light does not require any specific experience. It is available in and through every experience. So if this principle is understood, we can extend it to self-knowledge also. Self-knowledge, knowledge of the self, does not require a specific experience. Self is available in every experience. Self-knowledge is not a particular experience. The self is pratibodha matra, available, recognized in every experience. So that's one meaning. The second meaning for pratibodha matra, it's evident or recognized through Guru Shastra Upadesha. Question is, if it is available in every experience, why should I need a Guru Shastra Upadesha? This also must be very clear. Guru Shastra Upadesham is not to reveal the Atma, which is ever revealed in every experience. Then what is it for? Guru Shastra Upadesha is to turn the attention of the student towards the ever revealed Atma. Therefore, the teaching is meant not for revealing Brahman, not for giving the experience of Brahman, but to turn the attention to the already evident, already revealed, already experienced Brahman. The revelation of the ever revealed is the job of the teacher. And that is referred to as Pratibodham. It's of the nature of pure knowledge, consciousness. By saying Puranaha, it is timeless, not limited, conditioned by time. Purushaha, Puranaha, infinite, Sukhaswarupaha, Satchidanandaha. What does this Atma do? Yeneshita va asavaha charanti. All organs, functions are all only blessed by that Atma. The literal meaning of Ishita, goaded by, propelling, is blessing. Ishita means blessed by, yena, referring to Atma. Blessed by Atma alone, all the organs do their job. Vak, speech. Organ of action, asavaha, the pancha pranaha. That's why in Kenopanishad, Atma was defined as Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manoyat. Vachoha Vacham Sau Pranasya Pranaha. Prana is able to serve as prana only because of Atma. The eye is able to serve as an eye only because of Atma. Just as light is light because of electricity, fan is fan because of electricity. Therefore, we can define electricity as the light of the light, fan of the fan, radio of the radio, and all that. So, yeshontaratma purusha puranaha nirantara akanda sukha anubhutihi sada eka rupaha pratibodha matra yeneshita vag ashavas charanti. Atma, which is the inner self, full, timeless, of the nature of continuous, unbroken joy, ever of one nature, nature of consciousness, that which makes everything function. That is Atma. Where is it? Where is it? I want to know. Okay, we'll tell you in the next verse. Okay, of course, the next class you have to come to find out. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shante Shante Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.